Welcome to another segment of JW Basketball. Today we're going to be talking about ball and body movement and how the ball coordinates with your body as you're making moves to the basket. It's very important when you do these practice drills that as you go to the basket on a certain defender that you make sure that the ball in your body is in one particular movement to the basket. When you get in certain game situations, if you watch certain guards play or watch certain guards take moves to the basket, they usually separate themselves to the basket or they separate themselves with the basket, meaning a guard might do a certain drill, for instance, like an in and out. An in and out is from here, inside, outside, to the basket or to the defender. Key, if you ever notice certain guards when they go to the basket, say a point guard or two guard or maybe a slashing guard, when they make their specific moves, they also tend to separate themselves. You don't really want to practice the separation. You want to practice yourself going to the basket with the ball and your body at the same time. I'll give you the two examples of that. The first example would be the non-separation, which is here. Ball through and body through at the same time. If you notice, I try to make my body sway with the ball as much as possible so I can make my moves effective when I'm going against people in games. Two, we'll try the crossover. The crossover looks something like this. As I cross from right to left, I want to cross over, keeping the ball in the same area of my body. Usually when you make your moves to the basket, you want to get your feet around shoulder length apart and not too wide or not too close. If you get too close, you don't have enough balance. If you get too wide, you don't have any power making your move to the basket. So we want to get our feet around shoulder length apart. Everybody's shoulders are a little bit different. So my shoulders are about a foot apart, so I want to keep my feet about a foot apart. So when I make my moves inside my body, not too much outside of my body because it tends to make me go side to side instead of making my move straight at the defender. So let's make a quick example of that. One of my examples would be a crossover from right to left. When I make my crosses, I cross in front of my body and I want to cross the ball forward, getting my shoulders down. Notice if I cross through, I want to pull my body in the same area that I crossed the ball. So I'll go a slow example and I'll go a speed example. The slow example looks something like this. As I cross through, I cross right to left and I pull my body towards that area. Let's try a double cross after that. A double cross, I shift my body from right to left, and then I shift my body right to left, and then left to right. So double up looks something like this. 1, 2, or let's try 3. 1, 2, 3. So I push 3, and I push my body and the ball in the same movement in each particular move. It's important that I move with the ball because if my move is going to be a successful move, I want to be able to push my body and the ball at the same time. Let's try a behind the back. Our behind the back moves are same crossovers and just behind the back. So when I do my behind the back cross, it'll look something like this. I want to get my body low. I still want to keep the ball in the middle of my body when I make my move and push my body to whatever way the ball is pushing to. So when I push behind the back, it's across here and through, keeping the ball low and keeping the ball behind my body as a protection purpose. If you keep the ball in the middle of your body, defenders tend not to try to go for the steal. If you pull the ball long or pull the ball sideways long, more defenders are adapt or want to go for the steal in those types of situations. So if you keep the ball tight and you keep it close to your body and you tend to move with the body, the move will be much more successful and it'll make sure the defender doesn't try to go for the move, which will eliminate you getting a turnover in a real game situation. So let's try another move. We'll go with the behind the back and then crossover at the same time. So watch the movement of my body as I make the moves. Keep in mind that all my moves are low and I cross the ball tight and I keep the ball in the middle of my body. So we'll go crossover into the behind the back, which will be our combination move. It looks something like this. I'll go right to left and then left to right. So let's watch it slow motion, then I'll go speed. Get my shoulders low, push through, and then push back. And if you guys notice, everything's tight when I make my moves through, all right? Slow motion looks like this. One sway, one through. A little bit faster looks something like this. And through, all right? Let's try another move into a combination. So we'll try an in and out into our crossover. Watch the sway of my shoulders when I make my move into the specific in and out and then crossover. So we'll go slow first, and then we'll go faster. Let's try it going left to right to start off with. So I go with my setup move, I get my shoulders low and I make my move, I pull my in and out, and I pull the ball wherever my shoulders are going and vice versa. So if I go in and out, I go in, shoulders out, and then push through all the way. First part of the move. Second part of the move will be the crossover. So let's look at it in slow motion set. In, out, push, cross, and through. Notice I get my protection hand up when I'm making that crossover because I don't want to get the ball stolen. I also get my protection hand up because it forces me to push my shoulders faster in the area that I want to go from A to B. Alright, so let's try it again. In, out, push through, shoulders going through the whole way. A little bit slower, let's go a little bit more faster now, give me some more speed on it. Out when I make my move. In, out, and I cross and explode through. Just keep in mind every time you make your moves, in order for you to go from one area to the other, you have to make sure you shift the ball and shift your body at the same time. I'm going to go through a couple scenario moves just so you guys can see what I'm talking about in a clearer situation. So it looks something like this. I'm going to try maybe a crossover and then a behind the back and maybe a through the leg. All right? So 3 different combos with my body moving with the ball the whole time. And out. All right, let's try it with the opposite hand. And through. Everything when I move, I cross, I pull my body through. If I want to cross, pull, shoulders through. Left hand pull, shoulders through. Keep in mind, you don't have to practice this 100 or 1,000 times a day. You just want to make sure every time you practice the drill, whether it's 5 minutes or 20 minutes a day, you make sure the drills are as intense as possible, and just try to keep the drills very, very positive and think about it in a real game situation. The more crisp your moves are, the more you focus on keeping yourself tight, the more comfortable you'll be with the move in the game. If you don't practice the specifics and practice the fundamentally sound moves like we're working on here, then when you get in a real game time situation, you're not going to be comfortable doing the moves. So just keep in mind, keep yourself tight, try to make sure you flow with the ball, and make sure your moves are aggressive moves and really, really intense when you work on the moves at home and when you get to do it against a defender in a real game. A lot of times when you're practicing at home, you're not going to have somebody to go one-on-one with. You'll have to do the drills by yourself. So you have to imagine somebody in front of you, what angles are going to be at when you're making your move to the basket, what their footwork is going to be, what your footwork is going to be. Are you going to play against somebody tall, somebody short, somebody a little bit bigger, stronger, faster than you? All your specifics on the moves are important, and you have to practice the importance of the specifics of the move. So when you do it against somebody, it'll be a habit-forming situation. If you don't practice the moves in an intense state, or you're really practicing your perfection on the moves, then they're not going to get to that situation when you play against somebody when it's in a real game. So just think about when you're making these moves, in and out, your hands, your body, your shoulders, everything, the ball and your body is one. If you separate the two, the move's not really going to be a successful move. But if you put both of them together, which is your ball and the basket and your body, then your moves will pretty much be successful in practice and in game time situations. Until then, stay tuned for another episode of JW Basketball. I'll see you guys next week. Thanks.